Welcome to the Potent Mind, where curiosity meets clarity. Ever feel like your brain has a mind of its own? Here, we explore how attention works, why it drifts, and how to train it back, gently, powerfully, and on purpose. It's not about fixing your mind, but learning to work with it. Let's get started.
Be practical, as well as generous in your ideals. Keep your eyes on the stars, but remember to keep your feet on the ground. Theodore Roosevelt. Here's an example of a simple but powerful new concept that can start you off. Most of the time, when we feel an impulse or emotion, we don't have to do anything. We almost always have time to hold back our reaction, what we say or do, and give ourselves extra time to process what's happening before we act. As I become older and theoretically wiser, I can't tell you how often I found that keeping my mouth shut or not lashing out when I feel like it has led to the better outcome. Emotions are there to grab us, to suddenly hijack our mind and our body and set us into motion without having to think. Anger is there to mobilize us to attack. Fear is there to help us defend. Love is to help us connect with others and to regenerate our species. The sudden hijacking of our mind and body is usually quick and strong, and if you don't act on it, it sets up a physical struggle inside. You can learn to win that struggle as you listen further. Mind gem number 3. Next time you get hijacked by an impulse to act, consider if you can give yourself time to think about how to respond to it. Usually you can. An impulse can suddenly try to yank us out of the pilot's seat. It's like an alarm. Sometimes it's the real thing, but it may also be a false alarm, and reacting without thinking can be disastrous. Emotions can be sudden, but they can also build, and we can find ourselves being swallowed up by them before we realize it. We may not even be aware that we've left the pilot's seat. We can get lost in our emotional mind. Mindfulness will teach you to find the driver's seat and stay in it. If you hear alarms, strong emotions, and think you have to act immediately, gem number 3 reminds you to process what's going on before acting. I think you should take your job seriously, but not yourself. That is the best combination. Judi Dench. If your mind is in the past, thinking about your mistakes, blaming yourself or others, feeling resentful about things, then you're not in the pilot's seat. If you're worrying about tomorrow, then you're not in the pilot's seat. If you're judging yourself, wondering if you're good enough for the job, then you are not in the pilot's seat. When you notice yourself slipping out of the pilot's seat, simply remind yourself to get back in. One way to do that is to remind yourself to be present, take a slow, deep breath, focus on your chest, on the physical sensations of the air going in, and then as you exhale, focusing your attention on the sensations of the air coming out. This brings you physically and mentally into the present from wherever you are. Each time you notice yourself leaving the pilot's seat and nudge yourself back in, you're practicing mindfulness. Now that we're starting to work on staying in the driver's seat, we can begin to look at the control panel. Reading our emotions properly and responding in healthy ways can help us navigate around obstacles and reach beyond our dreams. Trick is, we can't always trust the instruments. Sometimes when an alarm goes off, it's a false alarm. Doing something drastic might get us in trouble. That is how it is with our feelings and impulses. So we have to understand what can get in the way, how beliefs we formed in childhood distort and stick, how what we think we know and what we don't know can blur our view. Let's go back to our 3 important questions. PAEJO. Are my perceptions accurate? Emotions justified? What are the possible outcomes? Perceptions accurate? Emotions justified? Possible outcomes? I try to remember it as the consequence guy, Joe, waiting to be paid if I don't carefully consider the outcomes of my actions and reactions. Pay Joe. Let's talk about consequences. We want to move away from blame, whether it's blaming others or blaming ourselves. Instead, the healthier, more effective model is that there are consequences to our actions, and we must accept them, learn, and modify our behavior. So accept that we are lifetime students. Blaming and kicking ourselves or others only distracts from the learning process by adding hurt, shame, anger, and other negative emotions on top of the original mistake. We can't change other people who tend to kick themselves or people around them, but we can choose for ourselves to get out of that kind of obsessing and abuse of ourself and of others. Getting rid of blame from your life is related to living non-judgmentally. You'll see that this is also the key to dealing with self-esteem problems. Mind gem number 4. Blame is a distraction. And 4A, make a mistake, make a correction.
Thanks for listening to The Potent Mind. If today's episode sparked insight or helped you refocus, consider subscribing and sharing it with someone you care about. For more resources or to connect, visit thepotentmind.com. Until next time, be kind to your mind.